Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. I'm just here to bring you my latest junk journal kits. So I have got 3 kits here that I'm going to obviously list into my Etsy shop to coincide with this video. So I'll start with this kit here. So this one basically, it's bound together with this gorgeous ribbony stringy type stuff in this kind of pale blue colour. It's made from an envelope that I have stitched in the middle and created a kind of book out of it. So on the front of the envelope, and for those who haven't ever seen my kits before, I kind of try and design them so that you can use elements off of the actual packaging itself in your journals and your projects. So you should be able to kind of cut off or peel off various different elements to be able to use inside your projects kind of from the actual packaging. So the idea being, obviously, there's something really nice and pretty to receive in the post, and obviously, you know, you can kind of pick off all the bits and use them in your project. So this particular one, it's got this gorgeous scrapbooking paper which has all been coffee dyed, of this gorgeous these birds. It's got some lace trim here, it's got some other lace trim here, these have been coffee dyed, and then it's got a yo-yo flower that's just been glued on, so again you could kind of pick that off and use it in your projects. Then it's got a chipboard tile here, again it's just been glued on, you could peel that off, and then a ticket here that, again, if you can't peel it off, you could just cut around it to use in your project. And then you've got some eyelet lace trim here at the top, so again you could just peel that off. And then here, attached with a little bulb pin, you've got a fabric flower. This is one of the flowers that we made in the tutorial, for those who kind of tuned in and watched that. So that's the flower, and this was obviously the paper that I was referring to when I said the strange combination of colours that I was using for the flower. So that's that, and on the back of the packaging you've got an altered paper clip which obviously matches the items inside the kit, and that's holding on this little tiny kind of paper bag that I've just made from some scrapbook paper, which has got all the small items in. And then on the back of the envelope you've just got, again, various elements that you can just cut off and tear off and things to use in your project. So you've got this large paper flower layered up with 3 different kind of paper flowers there, and that's just got a gem in the middle. And then you've got some eyelet lace, bit of little fabric ruffle there, little ticket here, and some more eyelet lace down here. So I will start this one with the small items. So obviously you've got this altered paper clip with just some lace and some butterfly, and that's just got the scrapbook paper around the paper clip. And then inside the little bag, oops, you've got 3 of these little frames. The kit itself, you know, aside from the packaging, is this kind of blues and kind of roses and things in colour. So these are 3 little frames stamped onto that colourway of the scrapbook paper. Love using frames in my journals and think they're really kind of useful, so that's those. Then you've got a little fabric bird. He's just been stamped onto some beautiful fabric and then stitched around on the sewing machine onto just some kind of like linen fabric. So I haven't coffee dyed him, but fabric does tend to coffee dye pretty well, so if you wanted to kind of coffee dye him or distress ink him, he would, you know, that would work either way. So that's him. Then you've got a little Eiffel Tower image, and that's just on this blue scrapbook paper here. Then you've got a journaling spot. Again, I find these very handy to use. Obviously the back is patterned paper, so that's just meant to be glued onto a page. Then you've got this here, it's just the word perfect stamped onto some fabric which has been coffee dyed and then stitched onto this hessian, which I've just Mod Podged around the edge to stop it from fraying. And then here you've just got a little piece of velvet fabric, and that's been distress inked, and then you've got some of this red kind of ruffle elasticy trim and a gorgeous gold coloured flower. And obviously these little items will make sense once you kind of see the larger items, you know, they're not just randomly plucked out of thin air. So inside the side pocket, the first item of the larger items, you've got this here, which has been stitched around on the sewing machine. It's been coffee dyed, and it's a very grungy kind of look to this kit. It's all been coffee dyed and distressed, and this I'd actually kind of screwed up when I coffee dyed it to pick up more kind of effect, because actually this paper wasn't kind of picking it up very well. Obviously I have ironed it since, but actually a lot of the creases kind of seem to stay. But anyway, so that's been stitched around on the sewing machine. It's got a little postcard here and a little like a postage, not a stamp, but a stamped stamp, if you see what I mean, there with the crown. And then it's got a piece of lace here, and then it's got some of that red ruffle down the side. That's just been backed onto this buff coloured card, so it could be used as kind of a tag or a tuck spot or a pocket. You know, you could kind of glue it on a couple of sides, stick it down on a page like that, or, you know, however, you know, takes your fancy really. And then here inside you've got these couple of items. So you've got a little fold out booklet. Again, it's just in blue colour. And then here it's just got a little banner in some coordinating scrapbook paper. It's got a bit of lace trim, one of those gorgeous goldy colour flowers again, and a buff coloured butterfly. And then here you've got a little fold out kind of booklet. Again, I'm loving the tying thing, so that's just bound with string. Obviously if you didn't like that, you can cut the string off, and that just opens up like this. You know, what you could do is then kind of staple in or stitch in you know, some flippy pieces of paper, coffee dyed paper or whatever, to create a kind of pad if you wanted kind of extra journaling sheets. Or indeed you could just, excuse me, I just knocked the camera, you could just journal obviously on it as is. And that's just got this image here again in the scrapbooking paper, and it's got a bit of stitching here on the lace. It's got a bit of washi tape, and that's all just been glued onto here. And if obviously you didn't like this flap, then again you could just snip that off. So I mean, it's quite a versatile, well, I mean, most of the items are quite versatile in that you can kind of change them if they're not really working for you. You know, if you didn't like certain elements, you can kind of swap them out with other things. Then in here you've got a couple of kind of either tags or pockets or tuck spots, again however you wanted to use them. Again, they're in the blue. They've got the scrapbooking paper. Then this here's got some lace, it's been stitched on the sewing machine, and then it's got a banner and some washi tape, and again one of those goldy coloured flowers, and again just been backed onto the buff coloured card. And then here again the same thing, it's just got a bit of stitching, it's got a postcard stitched on, bit of lace trim, and again it's just backed onto the buff coloured card. So I mean, again, you know, up to you completely how you use the kit, whether you use things as, you know, pockets, tuck spots, tags, you know, however really. So the final two items stored inside this pocket on the side, you've got a tag here. Again, it's in the blue colour. It's all been heavily distress inked and coffee dyed, so it's taken on a really grungy vintage kind of look. You've got some scrapbook paper, you've got a bit of lace that's been stitched on, you've got this perfume label that I've stamped and popped on there, a key stamped here, and some red ruffle, and again one of those gold flowers. And that's just got some lace trim at the top, and that's just backed onto some buff coloured card. So that's that item. And then the final paper item on this particular kit is this one here, which again I've just glued some string onto the back. Again, if you didn't like that, you can cut that off, and when you untie it, it's just a kind of fold out flip with kind of three sides to it. So again, you could obviously add some more coffee dyed paper in here, either just stapled you know, in a square in the center, glue it along here, and then you'd kind of have a flippy pad, or you could staple it here on the edge, kind of folded over, so you've got pages, or here, you know, kind of a lot of versatility with this. Or you could obviously cut squares of paper round, you know, and stick them on kind of like this. Or obviously you could just leave it as is and journal on it as is. So, you know, completely up to you. And this again has got another different perfume stamp here, and it's got some doily and then a kind of half circle that I've just punched out in a shape in the scrapbook paper, and a little Martha Stewart butterfly. So that's the first kit. So hopefully those kind of smaller items in the colourway kind of make sense now. It's all kind of designed to hopefully all go together, except for the packaging, which, you know, I like to have a bit of fun with. It doesn't necessarily go with the kit. So that's kit kit number 1. I move that to the side so that they don't get confused. Kit number 2 here. This one is, again, it's bound together with some string here. So if I untie the string that's holding it all together, you've got a little package here, paper package containing the smaller items. And that's just got some decoupage napkin on some sheet music. It's got some scrapbook paper layered up. It's got a little bulb pin here with some lace trim and a chipboard tile. And then on the front, you've just got a bit more napkin decoupage and a printable here, and then a bit of that handmade kind of paper that you get. And that's just a little packet that I've made from a, we have a shop here called Monsoon, and it's just made from one of their paper bags. So that's that. And then your larger package here is made from some vintage sheet music, which I just stitched 2 pages together of the kind of large actual pages. And then I just folded them over and stitched them round like a kind of bag, forming obviously the, you know, large pocket here. And then I just stitched on another piece that I'd kind of folded over to form a little pocket on the front. Now, this was quite fragile, this particular sheet music, so, you know, I have to warn you, it is fragile. So on this side, it's kind of strengthened it a little bit because I've stuck here some scrapbooking paper and layered up some actually brown paper bag, this was, I think, with a piece of book page with some napkin decoupaged on, and then this absolutely fabulous I guess like a tram vehicle in some vintage style here that I've just stuck on. So again, all of those items can all be, you know, cut around and used in your projects, or you could obviously use this as a part of a page or an envelope or something in your own journals. You know, lots of uses there. And then on this side, you've got this beautiful vintage car as well that I've just fussy cut out and stuck on here on the pocket. And then you've just got these flowers that I've just kind of cut in half and layered up, and then a little flower here. And then on the top, you've got some lace trim going across the top, which has been glued on. And then here, just got a fabric ruffle that I obviously stitched on my sewing machine. And then I've literally just stapled it on either end. So one staple here, onto the packaging. I thought it looked really pretty like that. And then when you obviously want to use it in your projects, you just literally can undo the staples on either end, and then that will come free to be used on your journals and your projects. So we'll do the paper items first. So you've got these 2 items here, which are scrapbook paper here that's been coffee dyed. It's got some vintage sheet music, and then it's got some napkin decoupaged onto some cardstock. It's got a bit of sewing pattern and a little kind of satiny kind of flower from some trim, and that's just been stapled in the middle there onto the little piece here. So that could be used obviously as kind of a pocket or a tuck spot, or, you know, if you wanted to back it onto some card or paper, you could obviously use that as a tag. Again, you know, quite versatile how you want to use it. And then the second item coordinates nicely with this one. Again, it's got some napkin decoupaged on here, and then it's just in the shape of a banner. You've got a bit of stamping down here, and then just here a little ruffle from that sewing pattern, which I have just stapled across in a ruffle going across the top, and then stapled on this pretty flower that coordinates again. So that's those 2 items. And then going inside the packet itself, you've got here a tag which says the word fabulous. It's got a bit of lace trim, it's got a typewriter, some vintage sheet music and some of this ribbon. And then here you've got a little cluster that I've made. These were inspired by the Jessica wrap clusters, and also my Happy Mail from Laura. So I had a go at some of those, and this is kind of one of them that I did here. It's got a Tim Holtz die cut shape, and it's got a Tim Holtz ticket and things, some sheet music and a little flower here. So that's a little cluster. Then you've got a little booklet, which this is just manila envelope as the pages, and that's just been stapled together there, and then it's just got some napkin decoupaged onto the outside and some stamping going on there. And then here you've got one of these kind of fold out flip booklet things that I've made these several times in my journals, and inside this is some coffee dyed paper which I've just literally stapled at the top and then glued it onto here, and this just folds up like this and then just tucks in here behind this stamped image. And then it's got a couple of bits of lace trim, it's got this little bow here and a butterfly up there. So that's that, and I would obviously just glue that onto my pages and use it like that. And then here you've got a fabric float-in pocket. So it's just got some fabric here and then another piece of fabric which has been stitched on, and then it's got a couple of flowers here. I can't remember whether I stitched them on, I maybe glued them on, I can't actually remember. And then I've stitched it onto some coffee dyed cardstock. So that could either be glued onto the page as a fixed pocket, you know, glue kind of around it, or just glue on three sides so you've got a double pocket. Or you could obviously move it around in your book as a kind of float-in pocket, really. Quite versatile in its uses. So that's that one. And then the final paper item, you've got one of those, what do you call these? Wage envelopes, that's the phrase. And again, I've used these a few times, and I've included them in one or two kits, I think, as well. So basically what I've done is made a little kind of packet. So obviously the envelope is, you know, composed anyway, and then all I've done is glued on, in this particular one, I've glued on some greaseproof paper, layered up some book page and a printable and some lace trim down the bottom. And then inside, then I've cut the top, I've sealed the envelope down, I've cut the top and then punched a semicircle because I quite like those thumb hole things. And then inside I've just made a coordinating little tag there just from a printable that I've glued onto some coffee dyed cardstock, and that just goes in there like that. So that's your paper items for kit number 2. And then going inside the packet of the smaller items, just check that I've got them all. You've got here a couple of fabric items that have been stamped onto fabric and then stitched onto hessian, and I've Mod Podged around the edges to kind of give that a bit less chance of fraying. So that's those two. Then here I've got an Eiffel Tower image stamped. I've got a little frame just on some coffee dyed cardstock, and then here I've just got these two gorgeous, they're kind of like a fuchsia colour velvet fabric with some lace trim that's been just glued on there, and then a couple of stamped images also glued on. So they just look nice kind of on pages just at the edges. So that is kit number 2. And obviously here you've got the bulb pin with these items that also could be taken off and used. So that's kit number 2. I shall move that out of the way so as again it's clear. And then here finally you've got kit number 3. Kit number 3, again, this is just a large envelope that I've actually cut down, and then I have formed a pocket here by folding over the bottom of the envelope, and then I've covered it with some scrapbook paper, a printable here, a bit of sheet music, and then I've layered up this huge chipboard tile that I have stamped on and put some scrapbook paper on there. I've punched a hole in there and put some eyelash trim on the side. So again, this is glued on, could just be peeled off to be popped into your journals. Then along the top, I've got some fabric ruffle, which I have actually glued this onto the envelope. I'd obviously stitched it on the sewing machine, then glued it onto the envelope. And then I've got some ribbon here also that I've kind of folded over and glued it on. And then held on to here with a bulb pin, I've got a teeny fabric flower, which again kind of was made quite similarly to the ones in my tutorial. So that's that. And then going over the other side, I have done the same as what I did with the kit number 2, in that I've got a fabric ruffle that's been stitched on the sewing machine, and then I have just stapled it onto the package here. So you've got a staple either end, and this is then kind of loose. So if you wanted to use this in your projects very easily, you could just undo those staples either end and the fabric ruffle comes off. Then down the side, I've got some lace trim, and hanging on to that, I've got another little fabric flower, again with a bulb pin. And then here I've just got a layered up printable. This actually says happy birthday, but you know, I just thought I would just ignore that because it was a really kind of nice image and very pretty colours. That's layered up with some book page, some sheet music, some scrapbook paper. And then here I've got one of those gorgeous tickets on some buff coloured card and a little butterfly. So again, these elements can be picked off or cut off and used in your projects. Going inside of here, I'm quite excited by this kit. I think it's a really cool kit, the items in here, because basically what I did, I took lots of images from my vintage children's encyclopedias. So a bit like my Mr. Pinkwhistle kits that I did a little while back, I have used images from the encyclopedia to create all of the images here to use in your journal, which I just think look really awesome now. So I hope that you really like them too. So item number 1, I've got this kind of little cluster, and it's all on this glittered cardstock, which has been coffee dyed, and then I fussy cut out some flowers from some other glittered scrapbook paper and used them alongside the kind of base colour. This got a journaling spot, and then I've just fussy cut a little image from the children's encyclopedia there, which I think looks rather cute. So that's item number 1. Item number 2, I've got here just what I would use as a kind of top corner tuck spot, where I would just glue it like this. I mean, this scrapbook paper is pretty thick, to be honest, you know, and obviously once it has all the elements glued on, it's really quite sturdy. So, you know, it's, yeah, it doesn't kind of need, you know, reinforcing. And when it did, I kind of then glued it onto some extra paper. In fact, this one I think I did glue onto some extra paper. So this one's, you know, really quite robust. So that's got a ticket, some sheet music, another image from the encyclopedia, and some glittered up paper here, and a little bit of sewing pattern with a flower stapled on. The next item here, this has got a postcard stamped image, which actually I left as a kind of tuck spot, so you could pop a tag, you know, or a photograph or something in there like that. And then you've got some sheet music again, another one of those fussy cut flowers, and then this gorgeous image from the encyclopedia just layered on some sewing pattern paper there. And then you've got some lace trim down the side. And again, did I reinforce this? I may have reinforced that again with some other paper to just give it a bit more rigidity. So again, you could use this as a tag, or you could use it as a kind of pocket or a tuck spot, you know. Choice is obviously yours. Then this one, again, I must have actually reinforced all of these. Now I'm looking, I thought they felt very, you know, very sturdy. So yeah, I kind of make so many things, I forget what I've done with what. So this one, I've stuck it onto some other paper to give it a bit more rigidity. And then it's got one of those calendars there. It's got another fussy cut flower. some more of the sewing pattern there, that again I've just stapled across, making a ruffle, and another image from the encyclopedia there with a flower. I mean, I hope that you think these look as nice as I think they do. I think they're really great fun and really nice to use these images like this, and kind of ordinarily maybe wouldn't put those images with these papers and things, but actually I thought they looked really good once they were popped on there. So I was really chuffed with how it came out. So this one, again, exactly the same. It's just got some sewing pattern, it's got a ticket, some sheet music, bit of lace across the top, the image from the encyclopedia, and again I've just reinforced that with some other cardstock. And then here I've got another tuck spot for the bottom corner. Again, just glue it down like this. And again, it's just got these children. This one's gorgeous actually. It's got this little baby, hopefully you can see that. And these other kids here looking really cute. And then it's got some lace here and another glittered flower in the corner. And then here I've got another one with, again, these children all looking very inquisitive and kind of intrigued by whatever it was they were doing. Fussy cut this flower out and again ruffled up some sewing pattern. I think I did staple that on, and then I've glued some lace across the over the staples, so I thought that looked quite nice. And again, it's obviously being reinforced. And then here the final of the large kind of paper items is this large tag, which again, it's the scrapbook paper. It's got some fussy cut flowers, it's got a little postcard stamp, some sheet music, and a couple of images from the children's encyclopedia, and then some sewing pattern here with a little flower and some lace trim. And then that's backed onto just some cardstock there for journaling. You have to excuse my oven bleeping now. It's just telling me that my potatoes are done, so I should just ignore that for a moment and it will go off in a minute. So sorry if it's distracting you. So that's just got this lace and some ribbon trim at the top. So that's your paper items for the kit, and obviously you've got these nice fabric flowers too, which I thought kind of went really quite nicely. And then here inside this pocket you've just got a couple of smaller items which they've now kind of got lost inside here. You've just got a little heart-shaped frame just in this coffee dyed cardstock, which again kind of coordinates quite nicely, you know, could easily be kind of glued onto one of the items. And then you've just got these couple of Tim Holtz rosettes here in this kind of teal kind of colour, which again I thought picked up. Excuse me, sorry about that, my camera flicked off for a moment, and actually I should have then gone and switched the oven off from bleeping, but never mind. Yes, I just thought that these rosettes, they're in this lovely teal colour, and I thought they picked up the dark green of the leaves and the stalks of the flowers actually, so I don't know whether that will come out very well on camera, but in the flesh I think they go, you know, in tone really quite nicely. And then in the centres of those I've got a couple of chipboard tiles. So on this one I've got a vintage camera, and on this one I've got a little crown, and that's in gold. So yeah, that's kit number 3. I thought that was quite an exciting one. Sometimes what I find quite exciting, I notice that other people don't seem to. So yeah, you'll have to forgive me if that was not so exciting for you guys. Anyway, thank you ever so much for watching, and I hope that you like the kits. Trying to think really of kind of what I could do another tutorial on that would maybe be within my capabilities. So yeah, had some really nice feedback, so thank you very much for that, for the feedback from the tutorial that I did on the flowers. So I think that's it now for today. So thank you very much for your comments and your support and things with my channel, and I hope you're all having a really nice day. Yeah, give us a thumbs up if you liked the video or the kits, and obviously if you want to see them in more detail, then they'll be on my Etsy shop. So thanks very much for watching. Have a great day. Thanks. Bye.